Don't even get me started on the bridge. Like, it makes me want to explode. Like the bird from Shrek. Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today we are sitting down because I only slept 4 hours, so I don't have the energy to stand. Today is video number 2 in my swiftsgiving series. Swiftsgiving is a little thing I'm doing here on my channel where I post a new Taylor Swift related video every Sunday of November at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the little bell icon down below so that you don't miss a single Swiftsgiving video. Today's video is my review of Folklore, and as you can tell by the title, I am a songwriter. I'll include a card up here to a video that includes one of my original songs, as well as I will have a link down in the description to some of my older recorded originals, just in case you guys are curious. And I also planned to upload some newer originals probably around Vlogmas. I also am a music industry student. I go to school at OK State, and I am a voice major as well as playing the guitar, piano, and ukulele. So let's just get straight into my review. I'll be including my thoughts on the songwriting, the production, as well as my thoughts on the songs in general. I'll be talking about my favorite line of each song, as well as rating them on a scale of 1 to 10. But quick disclaimer before you come for me in the comments, I will be rating these songs in comparison with each other as well as Taylor Swift songs as a whole, okay? So don't come for me. Every song on this album is a 10 out of 10 when looking at music as a whole, but I'll kind of just be rating them based on like my favorites of the album. Red was actually my favorite Taylor Swift album up until Folklore dropped, and now I think Red's got some competition. Also, there will be a playlist down below in the description of all of the Taylor Swift videos, and there will also be timestamps in the description of when I talk about each song so that you guys can just kind of skip around as you'd like. And yeah, let's just get straight into the review. Okay, so first of all, The One. This was a super strong opening track for me. I love that she started it off by singing, "I'm doing good, I'm on some new shit." Like, that's a really reassuring introductory line to have to reassure people that she is doing fine, even though she's about to just drop some of the most consistently tear-jerking songs of her entire career. I also cried so hard the first time I heard The One. It just hurts so good. Like the accompaniment with the strings and the piano, the vocal harmonies that she's doing with the instrumental transitions between sections, that hurts really nice. And I really like that this song kind of establishes that cabiny feel of the rest of the album. I think it's really good representation for what's to come. And lastly, I think this opening track rivals I Forgot That You Existed off of Lover. Like, it just hits so much harder, and it really establishes the rest of the album. I don't think I Forgot That You Existed really did that. Like, I understand the concept of using I Forgot That You Existed as a transition between Reputation and Lover, but like, it doesn't pose accurate expectations for like what's to come. I think The One really does. I also really liked Ready For It on Reputation. That was also another really good choice for an opening track. So my favorite lyric is, "You know the greatest loves of all time are over now." That one hit really hard when I first heard it, and I would give this song a rating of 9 out of 10. Okay, so next is Cardigan. I am so glad this was the first single. The song is perfection. The syncopation is just stunning, and I tend not to be the biggest fans of her singles, but like, honestly, there is not a single song on Folklore that I would have been mad about being single. Like, if it would have come out before the album, I wouldn't have been like, I don't know if this is gonna be my vibe. Like, I would have known. I would have just known right away. I also wouldn't have been mad if this was the opening track either. It also really establishes that cabiny, folky feel of the rest of the album. I knew the second I heard this song that the rest of the album would be exactly the genre that I was looking for. I really love the melodic references to Ophelia by the Lumineers with the melody "Hi." I love the percussion on this. I love the little piano riff that goes continuously. I also really like the weird squeaky percussion at the end. I have no idea what that is. It's almost like kind of metallic. As far as the song's structure, I really like that. The second verse is half the length of the first verse, which you see sometimes. It's not that uncommon. And each chorus is different, much like in the style of All Too Well. And then I really like how the last chorus has an extra stanza to kind of let it build emotionally. And then there's the last little part at the end. Some people call it a verse 3, but it's not in the same form as the rest of the verses. But I just love that part so much. It's not written in the form of a standard pop song at all, and it just feels like really good on the ears. My favorite lyric from this song would have to be "leaving like a father, running like water." The similes of that, and I would rate this one a 10 out of 10. Okay, so next we have The Last Great American Dynasty. This is a storytelling masterpiece. It is peak songwriting. Every songwriter wants to be able to tell a story this well. I saw someone on Instagram say something about how the piano in the beginning, like that single repeated note, sounds like Taylor coming into this like haunted mansion essentially, and she's like kind of playing around, like messing around with the piano, and then Rebecca comes in to tell her story, and that's when the full chords start rolling out. The harmonies here are also really great. I really like the pure sounding electric guitar. And what's really funny to me is I thought this song, just based off the title alone, was going to be political, but it's just about the history of her house. It really reminds me of Starlight off Red, especially with the use of the word marvelous in the chorus. My favorite lyric is, holiday house sat quietly on that beach, free of women with madness, their men in bad habits, and then it was bought by me. I think I nearly shit a brick, like hearing that for the first time. And this song I would give a 9 out of 10. Okay, so next is Exile. This is the collab that I did not know I needed. I actually have not thought about Bon Iver, I don't know how to say his name, in a really long time, but I'm obsessed with the super basic piano in the beginning. And it also has birds chirping in there, and there's like this interesting drone sound that picks up and leaves. I like all of that production. And Bon Iver has a really deep voice, but he also has these really complimentary higher harmonies that I am in love with, as well as all of the oohs and the ahs that he sings towards the end of his solo part. It's just super complimentary to layer his voice like that. And also I noticed that he has like one voice part in one headphone and then the other in the other headphone. There's also a bass line in the bridge that I really like. And it's really subtle, but it's a lot harsher than the rest of the instruments. So it's really good that it's not overpowering. That bass line kind of gives me like an 80s feel. I really like the call and response dynamic of the bridge. It reminds me a lot of the last time off Red. The violins and the haunting vocals work so beautifully together at the end. And this is also the first track on the album that does not have percussion, which you can't even really tell until you notice that they're not using percussion, but it's really nice that this song is still on the same level as the rest of the songs as far as like energy and dynamics go. It's really easy to have percussion that's super overpowering, but it's super nice that the percussion is all just like very complimentary in all of these songs. So my favorite lyric from this song would have to be balancing on breaking branches, if only for the alliteration itself. It's such a poetic tool to use that you don't really see in pop music that much. I would give this one an 8 out of 10. I understand why this is like a 10 out of 10 for some people. It's so good though, honestly. Okay, so the next one is My Tears Ricochet. I love this title for a track 5 song. First of all, I love Dramatic Taylor. When I first heard the harmonies in the beginning, I think I stopped breathing. And I really love the organy sound that she's using. Like, it feels so much like a funeral. The song just makes me feel like I have to change clothes. I adore how the bridge then picks up. It's got a lot of power to it. It has, I think, slight percussion, if any. It almost seems like it's something that's not a drum being used as a drum. I also really like the hint she gives when she sings, and when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen lullabies, except she doesn't finish the word lullabies. She doesn't add the S to the end, and she doesn't get to finish singing the word lullabies because it was stolen from her. I love that there's muted piano in the last chorus and it's just in one ear. Then I really like how after that, it picks up into the same dynamic level as the bridge, and it finishes the song off at that higher dynamic. My favorite lyric off of this song would have to be, you wear the same jewels that I gave you as you bury me. So I give this one an 8 out of 10. Next is Mirrorball. I love the guitar. I love the continuous, it's kind of like a jingle bell sound in the background. The vocal effects are really nice. The song kind of sounds like it was made for the 70s, which is appropriate as it's about a mirror ball. The beat is really good. I love the positioning of this song on the album because even though it seems slow and dreamy, like it has a beat that you can tap your foot to. Again, I really like the alliteration she's doing with tallest tiptoes and highest heels. You don't see that much, and it's also really easy to miss. It's super subtle, but it's just insane, the attention to detail. My favorite lyric is, you are not like the regulars, the masquerade revelers, drunk as they watch my shattered edges glisten. And I would rate this one an 8 out of 10 as well. So next is 7. The last song made me think of the 70s, but this one makes me think of the 60s. It's super beautiful and childlike and has really good pacing. The instrumental choices on this album are just insane. I love how there's a lot of long instrumentals, but they don't drag at all. I also like that she mentions folk songs in this song, like it ties up the album theme really well. And this song makes me so nostalgic. The lyrics are just so vivid at describing her experience with her own childhood. I personally smell fresh cut grass when I listen to this, and it makes me want to cry. Grass never makes me cry. Thanks, Taylor. My favorite lyric is, and though I can't recall your face, I've still got love for you. Like, just shoot me through the heart, you know? Take whatever you're using to cut the grass and just... I would rate this one a 9 out of 10. It's not one of my top favorites, but it's close. Just the nostalgia, like, who can listen to this and just not cry for their childhood best friend? Okay, next is August. This one feels like a very 90s inspired song. Like 90s acoustic pop is the vibe that I'm getting from it. Especially for some reason the melody, but I can see us da 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 da. Like that sounds so familiar to me, but I don't know where my brain is getting that. I love that the chorus is really broken down and then it like swoops back up. I know that's something that a lot of fans also really appreciate. This song makes me want to just like be in a pool enjoying the last few days of August. Like I smell chlorine when I listen to this song. Also, the subtle saxophone in there, the melody is like dun 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 dun, and then the bass is like dun dun dun. I really like that freaking saxophone. I didn't even notice it until a few runs through, but like false god who. And the violin and the same walking bass melody happens in the outro. That outro specifically really reminds me of The Louvre by Lorde, like that. The effect on the bass, like it just reminds me so much of the outro in The Louvre. Does anyone else notice that? And I would rate this one an 8 out of 10. So next is This Is Me Trying. So I love that this song starts off with this really dramatic percussion. It's the first song off the album to do that, and I think it really fits with that kind of like drone sound that's going on. This song smells like rain. Like I'm from Oklahoma, and when I listen to this, I smell tornadoes. I love the violins after the first two choruses. The whole second verse is a poetic masterpiece. It also really gives me Back to December vibes. I love that the song almost like fades out after the last chorus. Like it doesn't have the dramatic violins that time around. It's just got the percussion and a little bit of bass. And I think it's just a really relatable and vulnerable song. My favorite lyric would have to be, they told me all of my cages were mental, so I got wasted like all my potential. Or I was so ahead of the curve that the curve became a sphere. Like the metaphors in this song, particularly in the second verse, the whole second verse is my favorite. I would rate this one an 8 out of 10. Okay, next is Illicit Affairs. Fun fact, the first time I heard this song, I think I was in shock or something because, I don't know, something was not connecting in my brain. I was dead-faced the whole time. But then the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you know, at that point, after I'd listened to it that many times, I was just bawling. Like I was bawling all night after I filmed my reaction video. I was full on ugly Kim Kardashian sobbing at Illicit Affairs. In the beginning, there's a haunting vocal line that's like, ooh, or something like that. And it's like, there's so many layers and it just like hurts so good. And I really think that melody is going to go down in history, kind of like go down in history. Well, I mean, I think it's gonna go down for us in the same way that the melody from All Too Well in the guitar is. Like every time you hear that dun 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 dun, like you just feel the most amazing pain, which for me reminds me of the ooh in the very beginning of Illicit Affairs, and I think it comes again after the first chorus. I'm just so haunted by this song. I think there's some clarinet in the second verse and it builds it up to the second chorus, so it hurts me sufficiently. Don't even get me started on the bridge. Like it makes me want to explode. Like the bird from Shrek. The ah vocals behind her make me want to explode. The oohs make me want to explode. How am I still physically existing right now after listening to that bridge so many times? The lyrics of that bridge just hurt so good. And the fact that there's no final chorus, it's just her getting ruined a million little times. Well, Taylor, I'm right there with you. I am ruined. The lyrics just pose this really sympathetic view to an affair and how it could leave someone ruined. And I don't think I've ever seen a perspective on something like this in this way before. I'm not even listening to it. Am I tearing up? I really like I have to continue. I really like the line, leave the perfume on the shelf that you picked out just for him, so you leave no trace behind like you don't even exist. Like it's just so sad. Especially if you've seen my folklore interpretations video, the storyline that I think is going on here. I can't. It just makes it so much sadder. If you're a casual listener, please stay that way. Don't do this to yourself. My favorite lyric would have to be, you showed me colors, you know I can't see with anyone else. I would rate this one a 10 out of 10. I love getting hurt. Okay, so next is Invisible String. The strings here are really good. It's either mandolin or guitar, I can't really tell. Why is such an amazing, happy song following illicit affairs, first of all? The beat's really good. This song is incredibly satisfying with the way the stanzas work. If you're a poet or a songwriter and you reverse your sentences to read adjective was the noun instead of noun was the adjective, like that's sexy. Like you're sexy. I also really like the flow of chains around my demons, wool to brave the seasons. That's sexy. I love like this to do this and that to do that. Like the flow and the like thought that goes into not only the lyrics but the structure of them. My mind is blown. I think that's what really makes some of these songs incredibly satisfying. After the bridge, all the bass and the violins go out. It's super nice. The dynamics of this album, incredible. I also really appreciate this super long instrumental outro. It's just really nice, easy, like satisfying listening. And my favorite lyric is either Bold was the waitress on our 3-year trip getting lunch down by the lakes. She said I looked like an American singer. Not just for the reference to the song, The Lakes, but because it's funny and it tells the story so wonderfully. Like those kinds of like really detailed lines. So my favorite lyric is either that or hell was the journey but it brought me heaven. I would rate this one an 8 out of 10. Okay, so next up is Mad Woman. This is a cultural reset. Someone in one of my videos comments said that this feels like a part 2 to The Man and like commentary on how society kind of like treats women. I love the piano. I'd love to see the way this song is performed live. Like I predict very intense facial expressions. What's funny is when I first heard this song, it didn't hit me that hard, but now I really love it. Especially the F-bomb, we're here for that. The tambourine that picks up in the second chorus is also super iconic. This song makes me want to dance around a fire in slow motion while I sacrifice all the men who have wronged me. Like with my tambourine and a flowy skirt. It's got like sacrificing drums also. I love that they get louder as the song ends. It's kind of the opposite of what you'd expect, but I love it. My favorite lyric is, does a scorpion sting when fighting back? They strike to kill and you know I will. Rating 8 out of 10. Okay, next is Epiphany. The intro sounds like the music or like sound effects of a war film where everything's like slow motion and super sad and like black and white maybe. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of this song because it just felt really long to me and it felt like there wasn't a whole lot of dynamic contrast, and it doesn't feel as long to me now. Like I feel like it's kind of grown on me. Like it feels faster for some reason. There's a little beep that starts in the second verse that's like a KGB machine. Did I just say KGB? Anyways, God, how Russian am I? EKG? Is that it? Is it an EKG? The heart monitor machine? Oh my God, I'm sorry. I love it. I love what it signifies. I know what she's trying to do with that. And that's what's important. The song's lyrics are super meaningful. There's also a trumpet in there, which I really like. I kind of wish the piano was doing a little bit more. I think it's just like blocked out chords. The high harmonies in the second chorus, I love those. My favorite lyric would have to be, hold your hand through plastic now. Doc, I think she's crashing out. And I think for this song, I would rate it a 7 out of 10 only because I like the other songs more. Like personally, like I think this one is beautiful. These are some of the most meaningful lyrics. And I think I'm kind of going through a revisit Epiphany phase, but I think there are just others that I'm always gonna like a little more on this album. That's my own personal opinion. It's still 10 out of 10 for me in the grand scheme of things, just not in the like folklore scheme of things. Okay, next is Betty. I was addicted to this song the second I started it. The harmonica, Piano Man, anybody? It gives me a really strong 50s vibe. Most people say it's like country or old Taylor, which I see now how they hear that, but to me it just feels super vintage. The key change at the end is actual crack cocaine in my ears. I also really love that this album as a whole is Taylor's most mature album by far, but she's still able to slip inside the head of a 17-year-old shit show and like do it very accurately. Like there's an immaturity to this song that works really well, and like she pulls it off even amidst all the other like really mature lyrics. So it's cool that there's kind of like a break from that for a track. Love that for her. The guitar is really nice. This song just makes me want to scream it in my car, especially the chorus. The energy and dynamics are pristine, especially around the bridge area and when the key changes. The walking bridge right before the key change. Crack cocaine, okay? It just goes up. It's just da 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 da. Oh God. I think this is the only like super high energy song on Folklore other than Cardigan a little bit. My favorite lyric is, you heard the rumors from Inez, you can't believe a word she says. Only because the way she rhymes, she says with Inez, like it really makes me wish my name rhymed with something. I would rate this one a 10 out of 10. Okay, next is Peace. I love the little drone in the beginning that starts off with the guitar. I think there's some harmonics going on with the guitar there. Like, I can't tell if it's just one guitar going or maybe two. Her voice is really good here. There's like this type of soul almost that's in her voice. I love the piano that comes in halfway through in the second verse. Speaking of the second verse, I love that it's so different from the first verse. Like, it's longer and then it has that break in the middle, which is the opposite of what she did in Cardigan, where she made the second verse shorter there. I feel like Taylor Swift does not play by any structural rules, and I'm jealous of that. I wish I wasn't so scared. There's no bridge, but it doesn't really need a bridge. I think the second verse is like a verse and a bridge all in one. That nice piano that I mentioned in the second verse like comes back around towards the end. It's super slow and like wraps it up really well. I love the language of "if your cascade ocean wave blues come." Literal poetry. Family that I chose, now that I see your brother as my brother, sounds like rosé flowing with your chosen family from The One, which is the first track on Folklore, and I really like that in this track it's kind of like she found her own chosen family and she's not like focusing on the what ifs anymore. Like, there's still some like character progression throughout this album, even if a lot of it is fictional. And my favorite lyric is "give you the silence that only comes when two people understand each other." And I love that she's able to put this feeling into words, like two people being able to sit in silence because they're like so comfortable with each other and know each other so well. I would rate this one an 8 out of 10. And then next is Hoax. I love the piano riff in the beginning. How many times have I said that about these songs? I also think, I could be wrong, but it seems like most of the songs on this album were recorded with a real piano, probably a grand, because you can hear the pedal like shifting. But this one, it has that plasticky click of a keyboard when you're switching keys quickly, and it's super interesting to me, like stylistically, why they decided to make that choice. I love the violins. The song has a very like bare bones feeling to it. There's nothing too complicated about it, and the line "stood on the cliffside screaming, give me a reason" is sung so beautifully that the intensity of that lyric didn't even hit me, because she's singing about screaming but she does it so softly, which is kind of like in Illicit Affairs when she sings "keep your eyes down" and she goes up on down. It's kind of like that like juxtaposition is also going on here, where she sings screaming so softly. I think she found really the perfect melody to go with that line. And I hate that she doesn't sing it in the last chorus. It makes me sad. I wanted to like hear it again. I love how the bridge has really nice build to it. It hurts very nicely. Then it ends with those really nice higher harmonies. I love when Taylor does that breathy, like lighter voice in her upper register. It's very dreamlike. The line "Kingdom Come Undone" is also a great reference to her older songs, because she used to constantly sing about like breaking down and coming undone. So it's like a really nice reference to how far she's come. I also really love the structure of this song, because the first verse has 3 lines that start off with "my," and then there's a line that says "this has," so it's like my, this has, my, this has. And then the second verse is half the length of the first verse. It also has its own pattern. It makes me think of "I Almost Do" from Red, because she starts off so many lines with the words "I bet." I really love when she does stuff like that. She also starts off a lot of lines in the bridge of this song with "you knew." My favorite lyric is "stood on the cliffside screaming, give me a reason." It's just really hard hitting, but the way she sings it, like, I love the contrast of that. I would rate this one a 9 out of 10. So next is the bonus track, "The Lakes." I actually saw the lyrics before I was able to listen to the song, and I ordered a physical copy, but it took forever to get here, so I ended up streaming it before it even showed up. I expected this song to be super slow, just based off the lyrics. Like, I would read the lyrics and try to think about how it would be sung, and I expected the last line to be like, "No, not without you," like something really soft and slow. But it has a lot of movement to it. All of the lyrics are very much like poetry. The vocabulary is stunning. The strings are good. It feels very orchestral. It reminds me a lot of the music building at school back when we were able to go to concerts. This song feels like it takes inspiration from like classical symphonic music, and I would know. This song feels like a fairy-filled garden. You know, the clarinet sounds amazing. It's kind of stealing the show a little bit. Once you notice it's there, you can't unhear it. It just, the vibes make me think of my first 2 years of college. Like, these were the exact sounds I was hearing constantly. But yeah, I really expected this whole song to be a super slow ballad, but it feels like the chorus is just this ball of energy that suddenly explodes with "No, not without you," and then it slows down in a way. I don't know if that makes any sense. I really love the super symphonic outro. It fades nicely. My favorite lyric is "while I bathe in cliffside pools with my calamitous love and insurmountable grief." What? I would rate this one an 8 out of 10. Folklore is such a good album. I know there are definitely my favorites on it. You may disagree, you may agree, but this has been one of the most consistently strong albums that I have loved so much from her. Like, not a single track is a skip. Like, there have been other songs by her that I would have rated lower than these, but like, these are just, oh my god, it's so consistently good. It's probably my favorite Taylor Swift album, as I said. All of the songs are just so strong. And I'm so impressed with how fast she created Folklore. Like, probably her best work, and it just took her no time at all. It's like the insane productivity that we know and expect from Taylor, but just on steroids. Her storytelling in this album appears to have like hit its peak, but deep down inside, I know it's just going to get better and better. So I'm like scared for the next album. Her work is just going to kill me at some point. No human being should be that good at something. But yeah, leave me your thoughts down in the comments. What's your favorite song on Folklore and why? Or if you're brave, what's your least favorite song on Folklore and why? I'm so curious to see your guys' opinions. I look forward to your comments so much, and I reply to every single comment, so feel free to let me know your thoughts. And make sure to tune in next week to hear my analysis of the Folklore chapters or like themes that Taylor Swift put out. This is actually a video that one of you guys requested, so make sure to hit the bell icon so that you don't miss that. And I hope you all have an amazing day, and maybe go revisit Folklore and have a really good catharsis cry. We all need that in this time. So I will see you guys next week. Bye guys. I know